and welcome to this sketchbook tour video. I'm going to share you one of my two sketchbooks that I brought from Central and South America this year. And I'm going to show you some sketches, and I also wanted to tell you about a few challenges I encountered during these 3.5 months. I'm gonna tell you up front what this challenge was. So the challenge was that I have some unfinished pages, such as this one here, and a few other ones with some sketches that remained uncolored, so just the pencil drawing. Some of them are, you see, a little bit unfinished, so the sketch is almost done, but some details are lacking, things like this. So today I also wanted to finish one or two sketches with you. I have this spread in my mind. I really want to finish this one. This one is from Galapagos Islands. So I really want to finish this piece here to make it look nice and done. But first, let me start right from the beginning. So the first days of the trip. So when our first country was Costa Rica, so these first sketches were made there. And in the beginning, I have to be honest, I had a little trouble of getting into the vibe of sketching. So I was coming from a period of time when I was working quite intensely on not very creative things. And I have to be honest, I was not sketching daily for some weeks, and I kind of lost this habit a little bit, and that's why it's always a little bit tricky to get back into it. So these first sketches were a bit tough. I felt uninspired, I felt stiff, and to kind of make this process just a little bit more exciting and to motivate myself a little bit for sketching, I tried some new techniques, new materials. So here I incorporated some colored pencils, some, I think I used micron pen somewhere here, but just added this other thing. So I mainly work with watercolor, but adding colored pencils kind of allowed me to get back the playful vibe. And even though I'm not happy with this sketch, I think it's a little bit too scattered, it was helpful to get things kind of flowing. So I wanted to tell you about this little issue I had. Later, I incorporated a little bit of the colored pencils on the other sketches that I was more happy with. I think this is a good sketch. But then eventually I passed to pure watercolor. So my main medium is watercolor, and this is what I enjoy the most. So eventually I got my flow again, and I really enjoyed working on this little guy here. This is a lizard. I don't remember the exact name, but we saw it in real life, and I took a really nice picture of this one, and it was just perfect to sketch this little guy. As for the other spreads, this is when I started to experiment on these full-size spreads. So I'm using the whole spread to create one big sketch. This is something I've never done before. So I was quite excited to try this new approach, and it really clicked for me. So I really enjoyed it. But as you see, I still have some unfinished parts here. I need to finish the background on this piece, and I was kind of telling myself I will do it later, partially because of the fear probably of ruining this piece, or maybe I was not entirely satisfied with the drawing, and I was like, I first need to fix the drawing. So this is one of the spreads I need to finish, but I'm quite happy with these two illustrations. Again, these are animals we saw in real life, so it was really exciting to sketch them. Some other spreads are finally finished, so I think this one is ready. This one is, I think it can be called finished, even though I'm someone who wants to add more and more details, and it can be quite hard for me to stop. But I think this piece can be called finished, I would say, for the sake of not overworking it, which is always a risk with watercolor. This piece is finished. This piece was created partially from life, partially from pictures, of course, because with real subjects, moving subjects, it's quite complicated. And then I decided to add this sea background later. So I used multiple reference pictures and live sketches to create this piece here. This piece, by the way, is quite interesting because initially I wanted to add the sloth as like the main element of the spread. Actually, it started even differently. I started with this sketch that was created entirely from life, and I was just sketching on the beach, sitting right on front of this tree. And that's it. I had no idea what to place on this right side of the sketch. And then somehow I said, yeah, I'm going to put a sloth there. And this was it. I wanted to make a tree with a sloth. And then something happened. So when I was painting, I actually found out later that my hand was stained in red paint. And while painting, I'm left-handed, I made some stains on the page. Actually, you can still see some of these red stains on the background. And I was actually quite desperate in the beginning. I thought the spread was ruined. But then I had this idea of including these mockos here, and they're red, so it was perfect. And I think it actually went out, I think it actually turned out even better than what I expected, because I think we needed this touch of red, this kind of a red element on the spread. So this is the result of a mistake. And let me show you a few other spreads. This one is a more classical approach, so one sketch on each page. This is from Costa Rica again, even more animals. This one was a sketch created from life. This one is more kind of rough, more sketchy. And again, some stains here, but until now I don't have an idea how to fix this. I think this is just going to remain as a dark stain. This spread here, not exceptional. I think I need to finish this banana bundle here. Some other spreads, some exercises, and then let me show you something else. Quite happy with this spread here. This is Colombia. And I started to experiment with sketching people. So these were created from using reference pictures. So human beings are really, really hard to sketch from life. So usually, especially if I want to sketch with watercolor, I always use reference pictures. So this spread was composed of three illustrations, sorry. This is a set that I like. So putting one illustration in the middle and two on the sides. This illustration needs to be finished. So this one is actually one of my favorite illustrations from this sketchbook, and I was really surprised because this one was actually created almost entirely from life. So this is quite rare for me because I really don't have a lot of opportunities to sketch people from life, because they're moving every single time you try to sketch them, and it's really, really hard. Maybe I can make a quick pencil sketch, but not a full watercolor sketch. Here, the situation was different because we were sitting in a bar, and it was full of local people, and some of these guys were drinking quite heavily that day. You see all of these empty bottles. Until the point that they fell asleep and were not moving. So I thought it was a perfect opportunity for sketching them, and I really, really liked their hats. So I think the whole scene was actually really beautiful with these colorful doors on the background, these hats, and the guys were staying there still so that I could sketch them. So I made almost the whole sketch entirely from life, and I just added some background elements and other things later using a reference picture. So in these cases, I always take a picture. Even if I start from live, I always like to take a picture, making sure nobody notices me, and use it just in case, you know, the person wakes up and moves, walks away, then I have the reference picture. I know I'm, you know, I can make sure I finish the sketch. So I use the references eventually for some details here. And the sketch on this side, this one is almost ready. This one is need to be colored. Some more sketches created from live. Colombia again, this one needs to be colored. Galapagos Islands. This is Ecuador, and these two sketches were created from live. I was really lucky to sketch this guy entirely from live. Actually, we were on the beach and this iguana just was lying on the beach next to me, so I had all the time I wanted to sketch it. Hopefully these animals are quite calm during the day, so they rest, and it was a perfect model for me. The landscapes are quite nice to sketch from live, especially if the weather is not really changing. So it was a kind of a cloudy day, but the weather was stable, so I was able to finish the sketch without the, you know, the weather to change drastically, or sometimes, you know, it starts to rain, so it's difficult to finish the sketch, but I was lucky. This spread, one of my favorite ones from Galapagos Islands. Again, all of these were created from reference pictures because these animals are more, I would say, they're moving more. So it was hard to sketch them from life. And this spread that I'm finishing today, again, the iguana, the penguins, I'm going to show you some other spreads real quick before I pass to painting. These were giant turtles. We saw them in real life. It was incredible. So me and my husband were on this trip for 3.5 months, and visiting these countries and especially seeing all of these wild animals in real world, in the wild, was just insane. So giant turtles were for sure one of the highlights of the trip. Some other spreads. So these are a little bit peculiar. These were some of the pieces that I took pictures of from the museum. This is a shrinked head, some statues, and I decided to put them all on one spread together with a blue-footed booby from Ecuador, from Galapagos Islands again. And sadly, some pages are still like this. So I made a rough sketch, but I still need to finish the sketch and the painting. So one more similar spread with just some ideas. And this is, by the way, a nice way to see how I usually plan my compositions. So I don't always do this, but sometimes if I have a precise idea of how I want my spread to look like, this is what I do. I make rough pencil sketches to eyeball how I want the sketches to be placed, and it helps me to see the whole page without committing and actually finishing the drawing, investing a lot of time in finishing the drawing. So I like to kind of eyeball them, sketch them really roughly, and once I'm happy with the general placement, then I start to sketch to finish each one of these sketches individually. So same will happen here. This one is even more rough. Here as well, sometimes this is what I did here. I planned out the spread, and then I finished this drawing, then I colored it, and then I'm going to proceed with these sketches as well. So this is the sketchbook number 1, and let's finish this spread together, this spread from Galapagos Islands together.